Messed up there. There we go. Much better. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Miami Total Football Radio, the show. It's only two of us today. Andrea Yanes, a.k.a. Akisita, and myself, Franco Panizo, your two co-hosts. Island Jose Armando, a.k.a. also known as Cinco. Not in the house today, busy with other things. I guess he didn't want to talk about the game in Peru ahead of the upcoming game in Honduras. But Andrea will show face. Andrea muestra la cara here on Miami Total Football Radio, the show. We're both wearing very interesting shirts for those of us that watch, that don't listen. If you listen instead of watch, we'll explain it. I'm wearing a Miami Total Football black T-shirt, and Andrea is
one of
wearing.
Those. Franco hasn't given us.
I have to make one. This is like one of a kind. So it's the only one of its kind. I have to make more. But yes, I will get you one. I got you a pink one. Gotta get you a black one and a white one. Yes. But Andrea is wearing, if you can see, a Miami Heat shirt with the number 7 on it. Is that whose number do we have on the back there? Cristiano Ronaldo? What's going on back there?
No. My 7 is my favorite number, and no, for people who think it's because Cristiano, it's not because of Cristiano. It's because of another Portuguese guy, but not Cristiano. But 7 is my favorite number, and this is a Goran. I don't know if I can turn without making a mess, but it's a Goran Dragic shirt, number 7, Dragic.
Now, just for clarity's sake, so people don't confuse what you just said, because I'm trying to interpret what you just said. The number 7 for the other Portuguese guy you're talking about is not Goran Dragic. You're talking about Luis Figo. Why you like the number 7? Okay, but the number 7 you're wearing is a Goran Dragic, who is not Portuguese.
Who is not Portuguese?
Okay, before people confuse that you. Yeah, exactly. Before people think that you were saying that he's
Portuguese.
The comment section was going to start having at it with you.
Yeah, but number 7 representing Goran Dragic, last good point guard that Miami Heat had.
Yeah, maybe. Yes, that sounds about right. But we're not here to talk about basketball. We're here to talk about football. And Andrea, there's quite a bit to talk about. There's a game last night, but earlier in the week there was a pretty interesting report with regards to the structure of Inter Miami on the sporting side. In addition to that, there's also other news and nuggets. Tadeo Allende officially cleared to play, made his first appearance, although unofficially, against Universitario de Deportes in Lima, Peru on Wednesday. The comment section already here. We got some hearts from Sek Muha. But Andrea, there's a lot to talk about. There's another departure from the technical staff on the second team, notable, Federico Higuain. But we'll talk about all that. But let's start with the most recent news, and that is Inter Miami versus Universitario de Deportes in Lima, Peru, and El Estadio Monumental on Wednesday night. Inter Miami and the Peruvian club played to a 0-0 draw. They went to penalty kicks again for whatever freaking reason that this is happening in preseason. I guess they just want to say that they
won. Yeah, that's the thing. Yes.
So, and I say "won" in air quotes for those that are just listening to the show after the fact.
Let's remember why that's important in this show. The real ones will know why that's important in this show.
Yes, the OGs. The OGs.
Yes.
So they won 5-4 on penalty kicks after a goalless draw. Francisco Garcia in the comment section says, "Buenas noches, somnífero de partido." Okay. Francisco Garcia, buenas noches, amigo. Andrea, we'll just jump right into it, right? They went on penalty kicks again, air quotes, but they tied. Goalless draw, wasn't the best game. On the balance of play, and yes, I have to acknowledge this before, I know it's going to happen no matter what. I've already seen some of it. I am of Peruvian descent. I do have my Peruvian passport as well as my American one. So full disclosure, but I did think Universitario on the balance of play was the slightly better team. I don't know if you agree with me. Okay, so you do agree with me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't think the game was great from either side. There were, like, I was talking to a buddy today who actually watched the game with me last night. I had my family and a friend over. And we watched it here. We had some yummy Peruvian food, ceviche, causa de pollo, papa la huancaína, nica colita, jalea. We had a lot of different Peruvian dishes yesterday while we watched the game. but the game was a bit disappointing. The intensity level was interesting. Both sides came out. I thought at a good level. It wasn't like it was just a walk in the park. Um, but not a whole lot of clear cut chances, as I was telling my buddy today. Neither side created something that you were like, oof, I had to really test the goalkeeper. It wasn't anything that was more than a routine save for either arquero, either goalkeeper. So, Andrea, just your thoughts overall on the 90 minutes that we saw in Peru.
Well, for me, the most interesting part from the game, I agree with you that it was bad. It was somnífero, like someone in the comments said. It was. I think I slept for like 10 minutes. So I fell asleep because I was on the couch watching the game, and I was like, and Jose had to come and wake me up.
You dozed
But
off? Nice.
yeah, but the thing is, for me, the most interesting part from this game is that Mascherano. We see that he's keeping his 4-4-2, and I think that's the most interesting tidbit from here because. I don't think he'll change it. We were discussing that on the last podcast. I don't think he'll change that, at least right now, right? I could see with anyone, maybe the new players coming with Velasco Segovia, the Venezuelan guy who is a little bit more creative. Maybe we see something different, and we could see the 4-3-3 like Jose was talking about. Maybe we see that there, but with the personnel that they had available yesterday, that wasn't possible, and we saw 4-4-2. Another thing that I like was the stadium, and I like the people. It was a good ambience. It was interesting to see. Everyone is saying it was sold out, but I saw some empty chairs, I guess, because of the prices, right? And well, that is that. The prices were very high, and I understand that. But from the football side, those two things, I get the formation, and that it was not a good game. I think Universitario did better that first half. They created more. At least they had the ball more. They went more into Inter Miami's area, but nothing extra. They weren't challenged. The defense was not challenged like it was against America in that first 45 minutes. So I don't think you can get much from this game. Footballistically speaking, to tell you the truth, because other than the formation and watching everybody's role, I don't think Universitario was like 100% playing for this match. To tell you the truth, from what I saw,
I thought they came out pretty intense. To be honest,
they were intense, but like they didn't want to get like the first half. They had the ball, but I think they had two shots on goal. Like,
well, neither team again created much. Neither team had enough quality in the final third.
Yeah.
And Inter Miami did have Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez out there. Luis Suarez has not had a great start to preseason in terms of performance in
Luis
games.
Suarez looked worse than what he looked when he came here, and I said that I thought that it was going to be a bad season. Luis Suarez really looks worse than what he did last year, but
some of his touches very rough. But look, I'm not going to count him out and say he's going to have a bad season because last year he started very well.
Exactly, yeah.
It takes preseason is to get into shape, is to get into form. So I mean, you could analyze and say right now he's not doesn't look like he's at a good level, but that's what this is for him to work his way towards getting to a good level by the time the games that matter actually start. I will say Inter Miami started the game well. I thought the first 20, 25 minutes, Inter Miami was the better team. But then from that point forward, it was Universitario that wrestled control away from Inter Miami, that found different combinations that gave Inter Miami trouble defensively. Now, again, in the final third, not a lot of quality. No team, again, created a clear-cut scoring opportunity that was of high caliber or high quality. There were some half chances, some shots from just outside the 18, but nothing that would, make you jump out of your seat.
I think one of the most interesting things is still Fafa Picot, because Fafa is that quick one, that explosive player that we've been wanting to see from Inter Miami's before Messi was here, what we expected Farias and Robert Taylor and every winger that they have brought to be, what I expected Emerson Rivaldo to be when he was here. And I think Fafa is showing good things, and what I like about him is that he is very quick, he's very good with the ball, but he also defends. And when you got Messi and Luis Suarez that don't come down to defend, you need players that can do that. So I really like that. And then to talk about Tadeo Allende, I think it was a little bit unfair to put him. I guess he had been training with the team, right? Because if not, it doesn't make sense for him to play. The team is trying to
He
say
didn't have his visa
exactly. Yeah,
as far as we knew as of earlier in this week when we were at practice. He wasn't there, right, on
exactly. On
Monday,
the
right?
first 50 minutes, let's say that.
Right,
We
right.
don't know
Well,
if he practiced.
officially, he wasn't there. I mean,
Mhm.
look, if they're gonna go to the trouble of hiding Tadeo Allende for a preseason friendly, entonces ya estamos todos perdidos acá. Yeah, we're all lost because if they're playing gamesmanship 2 days before a preseason friendly against Universitario. I mean, then what are we doing? But I don't think that's the case. I do think maybe he was training. Um, on
Separately,
the,
I guess he was training separately,
I don't
but
know that. Maybe he was training with the team and we just don't
oh, he
know.
joined exactly. Well, that's what I say. But for me, it showed that it was too soon, that he doesn't know his teammates still, and
Right.
it's going to be a process. And maybe we can see him in another position, and not how he played
Well,
yesterday.
before we get there, Andre, before we get to Tadeo Allende, because I want to go back to what you said about the collective performance. I do have to get my little slide tackle or my little kick at the shins. I told you guys last week the 4-4-2 was the formation. I could just that was my reading between the lines of Mascherano from the interviews, from what we saw in the first game of Club America. We saw it again here.
Mhm.
Like you said, it looks like it's going to be the
Yeah, it
preferred
looks.
choice, even with other personnel coming in. Now, of course, again, just as make it clear for everybody, that can change once players start coming in and the team starts
Mhm.
playing games that matter. If they see that things aren't working here and here, of course they can change it. So no one's saying this 4-4-2 is set in stone, but it looks like it's the
At,
initial idea
for this
for
position, at
Mascherano.
least, that's what we're seeing. Yeah.
And we saw, we saw a lot of the same things, compact lines at times, organization. But I also saw some of the same weaknesses in terms of them
The
having
back line.
trouble with possession. Uh, Redondo and Busquets not providing much defensive resistance. I saw much of the same thing. So I think when they're compact and organized, I think that it works. It serves its purpose. But at times when they get stretched, especially when they lose the ball up on the other side of the field or when they're trying to high press, then it exposes them again because they just don't have the defensive wheels. They don't have the muscle, as we said last week on the last pod, to make up for that. And I think that's concerning early going here in preseason. So there's positives, there's negatives. It's a very mixed showing. I do agree. The ambiance, the atmosphere, the environment was great. Messi actually got, again, this was supposed to be, or it's perceived to be his last game in Peru in
Okay.
his career, probably. So that's how it was treated. We'll get to maybe the meet and greet, the famous meet and greet. But when he came out, there was cheers, of course. There was a lot of
Mhm.
hoopla for him since they arrived in Lima on Tuesday. When he first came out for pregame warmups, there were some boos, some whistles, lo pifiaron. But
Yeah,
then as the game
that's
got
normal.
on,
Mhm.
yeah, that's normal. He's an opposing player. But as the game got on, there was an appreciation for him. When he was subbed off, there was chants of Messi. So the Peruvian crowd was very pro Messi for the most part. Happy to see him play. In general, they were happy to see the Cuatro Fantásticos play because there's that one play where Jordi Alba brings down a switch across from the other side of the field. He brings it down over the shoulder with I think it was with his right foot, maybe his left. And the crowd gave some good cheers and applause for that little subtle control. So yeah, good vibe, good atmosphere. But for Inter Miami on the field, a mixed showing. One that still leaves questions about Javier Mascherano, his tactics, but it's early. It is early, but we are seeing, we're starting to see some trends. Again, it's early days, but we're starting to see some trends.
Yeah, you're starting to see some trends, and I guess how Mascherano wants this team to play. And analyzing that 4-4-2, uh, they still having four midfielders. That still doesn't fix, at least with the personnel they have now. As I was telling you, Telasco Segovia may change that, and even Lujan and other players that are coming in defense may be different. El Peluca um, may be different. And according to that, I had something to say about that. I have it written here because uh,
Mhm.
as Jose tweeted yesterday, the CONCACAF lists were out and he's not there, but Inter Miami hasn't announced him, but that doesn't mean that that is the final list, because you can write up players until 40 hours before the first game. 40 hours before the first game. So
So the list can be modified.
that list can be modified for an
Or
Inter Miami that fan that was wondering where Lujan and where Peluca are, right? And Lujan is already it was already presentado, was introduced as
announced.
an Inter
Yeah.
Miami player, right? So but I think you can see that even though with that formation, with that mindset, Inter Miami is still having some problems in defense. And yesterday we saw Noah Allen again playing as the starting center back. David Martinez was, according to official team uh, word, he was getting his visa in Peru and was maybe joining the team there, but we didn't see him yesterday.
No,
Uh,
no.
and we won't
This
know
is
until tomorrow.
information. This is
Yeah.
information. I'll share it here on Mi Amigo Total Radio, que es la primicia. Here's news. Sources have told me he's dealing with some injuries. He's gotten injured here in the early going of preseason. Nothing major,
Mm-hmm.
but little
But
knocks that are
asthma.
keeping him out
Mhm.
of,
Good one.
of these matches. So
Yeah.
that's why
He was
you've
not
seen
there
Noah,
yet.
Noah Allen.
Mhm.
Actually, we should go over the starting lineup very quickly for the show, for the pod. As a quick recap, so we had Oscar Ustari for Inter Miami in goal, replacing Rocco Rios Novo from the first game. Drake Callender still out injured. The back line, right to left, Marcelo Chelo Weigand, Tomas Aviles, Noah Allen, Jordi Alba. The midfield three from right to left, Tadeo Allende making his unofficial debut, Sergio Busquets, Federico Redondo, and Fafa Pico on the left. So Robert Taylor was dropped from the midfield from the right wing. Up top, you had Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. Messi, we got to talk about his game. Didn't have a great game. Maybe his best moment comes on the free kick early on that he shot way too close to the keeper, and it was a routine save. Other than that, I mean, he had some moments on the dribble, like around midfield and in the middle third, but not overly dangerous. Some nice combinations as he got closer to the 18, but not his sharpest outing, not his best day. He got tackled a few times, and he had, he took some exceptions to it. But overall, it was a clean game.
The yellow card at the fourth minute, something like that. I was
Yeah,
like, "What, arbitro? What are you doing?"
but he didn't have his best night.
No,
And
I
again,
agree.
he's working his way towards being the sharpest,
Preseason, yeah.
but he was not as sharp in this one as he was against Club America, where he did score a goal.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And I guess it can be traveling, it can be tactics, it can be new players. Tadeo was new, and all of that. It can be a lot of things, but it wasn't his best game. And if you compare it against the game with America, those first 45 minutes that they played with all the starters, you saw a different Messi. Definitely 100%. And it's preseason though. It's preseason and the traveling, and for him, I guess it's emotional to see how people were reacting and all of that. Those things in a preseason match, those things count, because when you're competing already, you're focused, está concentrado, and you don't think about that. But with this, that is like, it was like a farewell tour for Lionel Messi in Peru, right? Like you said. So I think
With a
that
meet and greet, Andrea, with a meet and greet before the game. There was a meet and greet organized. We have to talk about this. I mean,
yes, we have to talk
in
about this
terms of the
because
game, I mean, what else can we say about the game before we switch gears? I mean,
what else can we say? Well, they
the
won in
penalty
penalties
kicks were much
against
better. Were
the
much
young
better.
guys, David Ruiz, Benjamin Kremaski, and Santiago Morales. The young guys are that came out in the second half. Well, both teams make changes and And they did well, at least. I thought Universitario was going to score a goal when all the young guys came in, but um, they went to penalties, and it was that.
Inter Miami shot better penalty kicks. David
Mhm.
Ruiz, your boy,
He's a good
actually
penalty taker.
a sneaky good penalty kick taker so far in his
Yes.
early penalty kicks in his career. Although again, low pressure. These are
Mhm.
friendlies, but all the same, well taken. This was much better than the Cuba America display from
Yeah,
Inter Miami.
100%.
Let's quickly talk about. We've talked about the collective. We've talked about much of the same themes as we did a week ago, but let's very quickly talk about the two novedades, which were the two new wrinkles, the two new developments, which are Ustari starting in goal and Teo Allende in a little more detail. Ustari again, not overly challenged, was solid. You know,
Mhm.
he came up with the saves that he had to make, which were mostly routine saves, if not all were routine saves. So hard to really judge him. Besides, he did what he had to do. Can't say he wowed you. Can't say he disappointed you. It's just
Was just
solid,
okay. Mhm.
solid in what he needed to do.
Mhm.
Tadeo Allende, again, agreeing with what you said earlier here, Akisita. We're agreeing a lot so far. Obviously, he's new. Obviously, apparently he's been training with the team or by himself, but he's been training uh, at Inter Miami's facility over the last few days, at least maybe a day before. And clearly not on the same page as a lot of his teammates.
And
He
it's
did
not physical, it's just something about chemistry, because
right,
he had been training with Celta de Vigo. Even though he didn't play much, he
right.
was training with the first team. So he has, at least he's not out of shape, like if you got someone from MLS who hadn't played in 3 months, like all the others.
Mike V says hashtag Allende out. He has a look of someone that is going to fail, and there's some brick emojis there. Look, it's way too early to put the hashtag Allende out train, in my opinion. But if you want to take that stance, absolutely, we respect all opinions. Todas las opiniones se respetan. Um, I think you got to give him some more time to get some chemistry with his teammates. There was one pass early on that he tried to play it, laterally inward, and I forget who it was, but the player made a darting run forward. So clearly not on the same page, which is understandable. Hasn't had probably that many reps, so still needs to work on that chemistry and that understanding. Which ones did this guy like to make? Which ones did this guy not like to make? Do they know if I like the ball to my feet? Do they know if I like the ball to space? Do they know if I want to dribble? Things like that, which will come with time, will come with repetition, will come with practice.
Yeah, that chemistry
Not a good, not a
will
good,
come
not a
with
good
time.
debut. Not a good debut.
Yeah. And let's say that he played out of his preferred positions, right? Because he plays basically as a striker, not as a midfielder. So that you have to take into account too, because he's not a midfielder.
Francisco Garcia says Allende tenía los chimpunes al revés, which means in English, for those of you that don't speak Spanish, Allende had his cleats on backwards or on the wrong foot, wrong feet. Funny. He didn't have a great game. He didn't have a great game.
Yeah.
Looked sloppy. Looked rough. But I will say this: he did look, at least in this game, a battler. Right? He looked like he would fight and put in the work rate and battle for 50-50s. And I did tweet this, and I think this. I don't know if you agree with me, Andrea. I think, you know what, maybe it's not his preferred position, and maybe it's not what maybe some people envisioned. Maybe people envisioned him to be the backup striker to Suarez. Maybe that is his role. Maybe he is being looked at as the Diego Gomez replacement to help fill that void. Not like for life exactly, but to help fill that void. Because Diego Gomez got stuck in. Diego Gomez had no problem going into a 50-50 battle and getting back and defending. So maybe that's the idea with him.
Yeah, no, I think it's just because they didn't have all the players available. And Mikey V, there's a comment there. I said that out from the get go. I was so right. Oh well. Yes, Franco always defended him. No, I like Tata though. You know my opinion already on Tata, but I criticize him a lot. But I think I'm gonna be criticizing Mascherano even more because listen, for me, like I told you, Allende, it was I don't know how to say it in English, but it's injusto, disservice with him, because one, that's not his position. He doesn't have chemistry, and to put him in a game like this is
Well, you
when,
have to take him
especially when you had Kremaski available there, you had Bright, you had David Ruiz, you had all of them available.
on the wing. On the wing, Andrea.
No, but well, some of these players, remember Tata put David in that position sometimes, but I think it was unfair for Mascherano to put him on his first game in that position. I think it's going to be better if he plays in his real position, that should be in Suarez' position as a 9. And even when all the changes, Tata was left on the field as, but Fafa Picault was left at the field as a number 9 when all the changes went in the second half, right? And I think it would be fun to see. I think when Velasco Segovia comes into this team, he's gonna take that position in the midfield, and Allende is gonna be Luis Suarez backup. I agree that with you that he could play in the wings, and he could play in midfield if they need him there, because he's not gonna be a starter. He's not gonna eventually Suarez, but I think we will see him once the whole team is here. Once Velasco Segovia is here, I think we're gonna see him coming in for Luis Suarez.
John S says Ustari greater than Drake. Ustari was good under pressure with his feet and playing from the back. I mean, that's part of Ustari's perfil, right? It's part of his profile, where it's not part of Drake Calendar's profile. So yes, there was an upgrade in that regard, but that is because Ustari is more of that type of keeper. Which, hey, look, if Inter Miami does not get an international goalkeeper, does not make an additional goalkeeper signing this winter before the season starts, I mean, Ustari could potentially be a starter. Could he really sit Drake Calendar? It might be tough to really envision because of Drake Calendar standing. He's been here for a bit now, but with the way they want to play, I mean, I could see it happening.
I've always, since the beginning of this year, I have said in this podcast that for me, overall, I know that this team wants goalkeeper. Gaviota. Mike Fafa está más perdido de Gaviota que.
No, Andrea, you have to say the comment correctly.
I don't see. I have to come in. I just see a comment.
There you go. Come on in, Andrea. Come on in.
Fafa, Mikey V says Fafa de 9 está más perdido que Gaviota en Bolivia. That's funny. He's saying that Fafa is lost as a 9, and Nadir Sanchez Ustari wasn't good in penalty shoot. That's what I was going to say. Thank you for your comment, because I've always said in this podcast, all these programs that we've had in this year, that Drake Calendar is better than Ustari. Why? Because Drake Calendar is a better shot stopper than Ustari. The Ustari is good with his feet, but he's not a great shot stopper. And Calendar, on the contrary, is a good shot stopper, but he's not great on his feet.
Drake Calendar can be a great shot stopper. Can be, but it depends what Drake Calendar you get on the day, because he's not consistently a great shot stopper.
Well, last year he wasn't, but overall in his career,
Right.
Overall in his career,
he
is a good, And Ustari is just a solid player. He plays well with his feet, and especially when his best time that I've seen him after winning with Argentina, the medals that they won, is in Pachuca in Mexico, and he was known as a goalkeeper that played with their feet. There in Mexico, a lot of teams get goalkeepers that are good with their feet because they like to play like that. And if you analyze Nahuel and even Malagon in America, they are goalkeepers that play with their feet. And Ustari does that very well. But overall, I think Drake Calendar has two advantages: that he is a better shot stopper and he is younger. Ustari cannot be your number 1 if you don't bring someone else to replace, because he is 38. He can get injured. He got injured last year.
Anybody can get injured.
And then if you don't get another goalkeeper, but we're talking about if the team sells Drake, like you were.
If the team, if the team sells Drake or trades Drake or whatever the case is, no matter what, they have to bring in somebody else. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless Rocco Rios Novo is your number 2, which I mean, maybe that could be the plan.
That could be the case, but
either way, you're bringing in another goalkeeper. Either it's a third string goalkeeper, a
Mhm.
second string goalkeeper, or the guy who's going to compete for the number 1 spot. If you're getting rid of Drake Callender, you're bringing somebody else in, no matter what.
But for me, it would be if you're not bringing another goalkeeper, is what is it?
The
My
comment
TV says
section. The comment
Suarez
section
is
is
slower
lit.
than a snail with asthma. Oh, yeah, look, Luis Suarez has
Didn't have a good game.
very bad in this preseason. Very bad. And the problem with Suarez is like he gets mad with everyone else, and he wants. I remember one pass that Messi gave him to space. He couldn't run. It's just simply not there. And I also say Suarez in his Liverpool days, this would be the majority of goals he scored. But
I'm not. Listen, I'm not going to. When it comes to Suarez, again, he hasn't looked good, but he's a gamer. And when the games that matter come in MLS against defenses that are not that good, not that savvy, then I mean he can feast. He can feast. So yes, I mean there's no denying that he's nowhere near as mobile as he once was. That clearly the knees hinder him a good bit. But again, we'll see. Let's see how he does in the regular season.
Yeah.
If he does not produce there, then we can have a more serious
especially because he hasn't played since October. So that's the problem with you're an old player and you get eliminated in MLS early. You don't play for 3 months, and of course, when you are not in shape after not playing 3 months, it te cuesta. So that is it. And another thing that I wanted to say from this game, talking about football, is that the same for me. This is the same problem that Inter Miami is having with Marcelo Weigand and Jordi Alba. Those are the weakest spots in Inter Miami defensively, right? And teams take advantage of that. And when Marcelo Weigand goes up or when Jordi Alba goes up, it's when Inter Miami looks worst, because when they're coming back down, they're not as quick. They are not as good.
They don't get into shape
exactly
as quickly as you would like a team to get into shape, right? To get into that defensive block, they don't do that very quickly because they don't have the speed to do so. And so, when they try to retreat and get into the position, it's cuesta. It's difficult for them. And that's
they
when
make mistakes.
They can get exposed.
Exactly. Yes.
And we've seen that in both these games.
We've seen that in both these games, and I think that's the biggest problem for Inter Miami. Of course, you have Lujan coming in that can play as a right back, but for Jordi Alba, you now what are Jordi Alba's replacements? Ian Fray. Does Mascherano see him as a
left back? No, Andrea, come on.
Or Noah Allen,
Noah Allen is
his replacement. Yeah, but
the backup.
Then who else? You don't get a quality backup. And
Andrea, por favor, Andrea. You cannot have top level quality at every position.
Well, you had Franco Negri last year when Jordi Alba got injured. Franco Negri stepped up. Inter Miami doesn't have that.
I like Franco Negri as a player. I think he's going to do well in San Diego, but let's not kid ourselves and say Franco Negri was incredible when he came on.
No, but he stepped up when Jordi Alba was gone. And Inter Miami,
he was just average last year. I don't remember un partidazo de Franco Negri when he came in for Jordi Alba.
Of course, in attack he's not going to be the same, but in defense, Inter Miami was the most stable when Jordi Alba was injured.
Noah Allen is Jordi Alba's backup. He's just playing center back right now as a stopgap solution, a makeshift solution for David Martinez to get healthy, for Peluca to arrive, for Ian Fray to get back into the thick of things. Speaking of Ian Fray, he made his return unofficially in this game. First time he plays in a match since the injury last year, which is nice to see because obviously he's had an unlucky run of 4 consecutive years with knee injuries, all requiring surgery. So obviously it was good to see him back out there. We spoke to him last week. I thought I had the soundbite here. I do not. Maybe I can get it up before we change topics. But Andrea, very quickly, Ian Fray, we talked to him for a few minutes. When we asked him about, what his goals were for 2025, he said, point blank, 2 words: stay healthy. And obviously with good reason. The kid is very talented. I don't know if I guess you could, but the center back, the defender, he's talented. He's a talented player. He can be very serviceable for Inter Miami, but he needs to stay healthy. Hopefully, this is the year that he finally does. Hopefully, he avoids these injury issues that have been plaguing him. Not a whole lot to say in this game. Remember, he did score against Universitario 3 years ago in the match here in Fort Lauderdale, but yesterday he came off the bench late, just made a cameo, got a couple of touches, but again, we didn't see a whole lot. But Andrea, refreshing and good to see him back on the field and playing again after another serious knee injury.
Yes. Ian Fray is a good player. He has nice qualities, and hopefully this year he can stay healthy and thrive in Inter Miami.
Now, the question is, again, right back or center back? He told us, he's played both under Mascherano so far in preseason. At least in practice sessions. So, I mean, he's got to be a center back, right? He's got to be a center. I don't think if you have Lujan and you have Cello, I don't think Ian Fray is being looked at seriously as a right back option, unless you're really hurting for someone out there, right? Like Cello and Lujan are both sidelined with injuries, right? So it's got to be at center back, right? Which is his best position.
Good. He's a good center back. He's also good in his other position, because he is very athletic. He's very quick, and he's good with his feet. So that's why he did well when Tata brought him in there last year. He scored a goal, and he did well. He goes up very good, and he defends very good. But as you say, he's a center back, and he's a good. Those type of center backs are good because he's tall, he's strong, and quick. You almost, when you get a tall center back, you get someone like Sergi Christoph that is very slow, right?
And he's more athletic
and he's very athletic, and he's very quick, and he's quicker than Toto Avilés that runs in
he's more athletic, right? He's more athletic than the other center backs that
exactly,
Inter Miami has, right?
And he's quicker than every one of the center backs that Inter Miami have right now and what they had last year. So that is his advantage there, and hopefully we get to see him stay well without injury, and to see if he can challenge to be one of those center backs that gets playing time in all the competitions that Inter Miami has this year.
There's ample opportunity for him to play this year. Again, the key for him is to stay healthy. We asked him about the knee injury, what doctors have told him. He didn't go into too much detail. He handled it professionally, but clearly, I mean, I don't know if it was your read on it. Clearly, it's not something he wants to be talking about, but he has to, because it's just part of, unfortunately, the narrative of his career to this point. But you could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable having to talk about it. Let's listen to this clip. Let's listen to this clip, and we can, round out the idea here. I did finally get it going here.
I mean, they haven't really told me much. I got injured and I got surgery. There's nothing. I'm doing everything I can in my power to prevent it. Everyday acupuncture, massage, whether it's training in the gym, I'm doing everything possible. So that's all I can control.
Is there an explanation for it? It's
just something that happened. I can't control it, but I can try to do my best to prevent it.
Is it the mental part?
But I can do my best to try to prevent it. Clearly, he said, gave you a little bit of snippets of what he's trying to do to better take care of his body, to try to prevent these injuries. Hopefully, again, for his sake and for Inter Miami's sake, it works out and he is able to stay healthy, because he definitely can contribute to this team. You touched on his qualities. He's good with the ball at his feet. Not usually the case for most American. I know he's also of Jamaican descent, but not of American-raised qualities. It's not a common trait to see a center back with that level of comfort, dribbling out of the back. Even when he played at right back last year, he showed comfort in attacking on the dribble down the wing, which, you know, a guy of his size on the wing, you would expect where there's less space, a little more cramped, a little tighter.
He's
You know,
he's
you
a
would
typical Jamaican player. I will tell you this because in at least while I have been alive, and Honduras plays a lot with Jamaica, so I've seen Jamaicans, and he's a typical Jamaican defender, quick, very athletic, and very good with the ball. So I think we if Ian stays healthy, he's definitely going to get a shot to get opportunities in this team. To tell you the truth, I see Ian
he's
getting
probably, Andrea, he's probably, I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, he's probably the third option at right back. And he's probably, the second option at right center back? Maybe? Because,
Yeah.
I mean, Thomas Aviles is the starter right now.
Mm-hmm.
You could potentially say Lujan could play there,
Mm-hmm.
although Lujan could be starting at right back, so that changes things.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's Aviles, possibly Lujan, and then Fray. If Lujan's not in the picture, then he's the backup. But I mean, so maybe he'll carve out. I mean, I think he's too good not to earn some minutes this year. But I mean, it's not going to be an easy task either. He's definitely got competition for the spots.
El pasaporte.
Bueno, you're wrong.
I'm gonna get my credential taken out because of
maybe. All right, let's switch gears because there is another.
Let's talk about the meet and greet because
meet and greet very quickly.
We have to discuss. Yes.
So it was organized, or it was promoted in Peru by a businessman, an entrepreneur, if you can call him that. In the lead up to this game, that there would be a meet and greet with Inter Miami players. And he said on national radio in Peru that Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez would be part of this meet and greet. Now, Andrea, if you have been paying attention, which, you know, if you're in Peru and Lima, you're probably not paying attention unless you're related to me or something like that, because you're probably not following Inter Miami that closely. But anybody here probably knows that was a tall order to expect Messi, who barely does media appearances, let alone just, public appearances, that he's going to do a meet and greet. It was probably a tall order to expect him to show up. He did not show up to the meet and greet. Instead, it was Busquets and I believe Luis Suarez that made the appearances to some fans that paid a pretty penny. I think it was over $1,000 that each penny. I mean, each person paid for this meet and greet. So there was a lot of frustration from some Peruvians before kickoff on Wednesday because they thought they were going to see Messi up close and personal, and that was not the case. I mean, I tweeted this. El que compró esa entrada para el meet and greet es más inocente que el bebé recién nacido. Which
and they're taking advantage of that.
I have to translate, Andrea. That means whoever bought that ticket to the meet and greet is more innocent than a newborn baby, because there's no way that you could expect Messi to. I know they got.
No, people get excited, Franco. Listen, they are doing the same thing in Honduras. The only difference is that you have to deposit your money in the bank, because the bank is the one that is bringing Inter Miami. So you have to deposit the money in the bank, 1,000 lempiras. You have to deposit, and each time you deposit 1,000 lempiras, that you get a ticket to maybe win a meet and greet. And let me tell you, they don't say specifically Messi, but I showed you the poster. I sent it to you in our WhatsApp group. They have a poster saying you're gonna meet Inter Miami players, but in that poster you had first Jordi Alba, David Ruiz, Luis Suarez, Sergio Busquets, Lionel Messi, and Drake Calendar. So they are making you think that in that meet and greet you're gonna get those 6 players. And let's face it, it's not going to happen.
Deceptive marketing, right?
It's not going to happen. So if you in Peru, they didn't listen to us, but in Honduras, if you are listening to us, don't do it. Mete tu dinero debajo del colchón y quédate con tu dinero, because you're not gonna get to meet Lionel Messi in a meet and greet. That is impossible.
I will say this. And it's unfortunate that there's business people, because I know my comment can be taken as insensitive, but I mean, you got to have some common sense. You got to inform yourself.
No, and people get excited. They are Messi fans.
Of course.
That's why they do this type of stuff.
But you have to do your homework. You've got to do your homework. And listen, the organizer did come out and say on radio, like I said before, that Messi would be there. But if you read the fine print on the agreement or on the I don't know what to call it, a contract, but on the terms, it says that Inter Miami players would be present. It does not say that Lionel Messi would be present. So that is what I'm sure legally.
They're covering that way. You cover your back, right? But if you go and like this guy, I listened to the audio and he went to the radio and said, "Yeah, Messi is going to be there." And then in Honduras, you put the picture, so people think that you're gonna deposit your hard-earned money and you're gonna get a ticket and you're gonna win a meet and greet to go and see Messi. So and they even tell you the more you deposit, the more possibilities you have to win.
Which again, and I want to make this clear. It's unfortunate that there are businesses and business people who would take advantage of the excitement and passion that some people have for Messi, for football. It's unfortunate, but it is unfortunately that's part of the real world. The real world can be cutthroat, and unfortunately, that was the case here. And again, that's why I also say it's also on the consumer for not being more careful. Yes, it was promoted a certain way over national radio, but you do have to read the fine print, unfortunately. And
the tweet with the kid, I saw the kid with a black and white photo and the kid with a Messi shirt, and Suarez was there, but
Thomas. Sorry, Andrea. Thomas here in the conversation says the Peru organized scam them people. Look, it wasn't Universitario. It was just like a business person.
One of the patrocinadores, sponsors, or
I mean, I didn't honestly, we joked, Andrea. We can wrap up this topic here, but we jokingly said in the weeks leading up to it, we saw these flyers and these promotions coming out. We jokingly said people think they're going to get Messi and Suarez, and they're going to end up getting no offense if you're listening, but we they're going to get Robert Taylor and Robert Taylor and Ryan Saylor. Something along those lines. No offense. Which is obviously not what people are trying or expecting when they go for this. But we jokingly said that, look, the fact that they got Busquets and Suarez is still pretty key.
Yeah,
I'm very curious. I'm very curious, and it's going to be my job, and I'm going to put this on myself to figure out how the hell this was organized, because to even get Suarez and Busquets to do it, I mean, I imagine maybe they're getting a cut of something. I mean, I don't know. Like, how did you organize that? But anyway, apparently the reasoning they gave the people was that Messi wasn't feeling too well.
And then he published a picture with the cumbieros. I don't know what they're called.
The musical artists. The music artists.
No, Setila L, the real ones are Zion and Lennox. So.
Well, the music artists that were at the team hotel, which I believe was the Swiss hotel in Lima. Now, again, I don't know if Messi was ever involved with this or not. I don't know if he had said he was going to be there or not.
But people need to be careful. People need to be careful. You cannot believe anything that they tell you that Messi is going to be there. Even, listen, people in MLS fans, we have been talking about this since Messi got here. And Francisco Garcia, the meet and greet, is with Sunny.
The comment section is having one today, and they're going at everybody in the comment section today. Goodness gracious, people. Okay, Andrea, let's go. Let's switch gears.
People in here, what I wanted to say is people in here already know that they are more intelligent and know how not to be scammed by tickets and by these people promising Messi is going to be there, because if you are doubting, the bottom line is Messi is not going to be there. So don't even try. So save your money. Save your damn money.
Andrea
something else.
Andrea Akisita with her biggest slide tackle of 2025, having a dig at Peruvian people and saying,
No.
It's a compliment. It's a compliment to the Miami Total Football Radio listeners and viewers.
Exactly.
You said they're more intelligent.
I said we have educated MLS fans and Miami Total Football Radio fans. We have educated them to know when they are being scammed and when they are being treated well, because there's a difference. And unfortunately, people in Peru were scammed. I was so sad to see those kids and them telling stories of how they sacrificed to buy the ticket. That for me is the worst thing, because
it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. Exactly, it's not cheap.
If $1,000 is expensive
here,
It is
Exactly. Yes.
way more
Imagine
expensive
there
in
and
Latin
having to,
America.
and they were not rich people, because sometimes you say, oh, those rich people pay for this, but no, it's usually working class people that gets
I'm
scammed like this. So
I'm sure
don't get
there'll
scammed.
be I'm sure there will be litigation and a lot more to
Yes.
come from that in Peru. But anyway, we'll focus on the task at hand. All right, Andrea, we
Let's
switch
talk about
gears.
Sanllehi, because the
We'll
people in
switch
the
gears.
comments brought him in. So let's talk
Yes.
about this.
So on Monday night, as we're all casually hanging out or doing whatever we were doing on Monday night,
The Heat game.
a report drops saying that Messi and Sanllehi, Raul Sanllehi, who was, excuse me, the lead figure on the sporting side, they had an exchange of words on the players and coaches bus only in Las Vegas when Sanllehi climbed aboard or got on the bus. It doesn't say what happened. It doesn't say if it was, a big heated discussion. It doesn't say what was said. It doesn't say what the reason for it was. The report did not say any of this. This is from
Tom Bogert.
yes. I was trying to think of the media outlet.
Give sport. Give me sport. Give. I don't remember the name, but yeah, it's his
Uh,
media. Give sport. Give me.
but anyway, so we don't know a lot of the details there. All we know is that apparently this happened. Although I need to confirm this with more than one source, but I've heard that maybe there wasn't an exchange of words. I don't know. But anyway, the report is that it did happen. And well, Sanllehi is no longer the number one guy on the sporting side for Inter Miami. He's being reassigned to a different role within the organization. Now, Inter Miami, because we have to present it in its entirety, Inter Miami gave a comment,
Statement.
a statement,
Saying this was pre-planned.
saying that this was planned for Sanllehi, that he was always going to be in a different, he was going to transition to a different role ahead of so many tournaments and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, after a month after Jorge Mas presents him and says that he is the sporting
Not a month.
director.
It's been a few
Yeah,
months.
right.
It's been a few months, Andrea.
2 months. No, in December. It was in December.
No.
Yes, in December.
No, it was like September-ish.
No, when Jorge Mas and after Tata left, that they talked to us in the media.
No, but that wasn't the first time we spoke to him. He
Yeah,
arrived.
no, but after, I'm telling you that's not true. That statement from Inter Miami is just PR, because he was less than a month ago with us talking with Jorge Mas, the owner of the team. So that statement is, pardon the word, bullshit. That's not true, because Jorge Mas will not come out with someone that they are planning to move to tell you that they were going to build this team, that they're going to hire this, they're going to bring players, they're going to bring Neymar, they're going to bring this and that. You don't get the owner with the sporting director if they are planning to move him. Then we would only have gotten Jorge Mas. So that's just saving face.
Mike V says Messi told him "Anda pa siya, bobo."
Yeah,
Messi's famous line from the World Cup after the game against the Netherlands. So part of this report, which we have to package it in, and we can cut it up into little pieces. We can desmenuzarlo, right? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, desmenuzarlo.
Yeah. So we can get to that point. But with Sanllehi vacating the spot, whether it was pre-planned or not, because look, I mean, I can give you my opinion, and I will give you my opinion in a second, but we can, if you want to play devil's advocate, look, when Sanllehi arrived, and actually he arrived last summer, not even in September, last summer, it was very unclear, even with the press conference with him, what his role was going to be. We assumed that spelled trouble for Chris Henderson, which ended up being the case with time, because Sanllehi took on a more front-facing role, and Chris Henderson kind of faded into oblivion before leaving to Atlanta this offseason.
Like the saying, piensa mal y acertarás. That's
but we didn't know what Sanllehi's role was. It was not clear. Like, we knew he was involved in the sporting side. He said he was going to be working with Chris Henderson, but it wasn't crystal clear what his job was. Anyway, all that said, Guillermo Hoyos is now the guy on the sporting side. Who is Guillermo Hoyos, Andrea? Well, he is a former coach who was hired shortly after Lionel Messi's arrival as the, and correct me if I'm mistaken, director of methodology of the academy. Oh, by the way, he's also Argentine.
And he's also Messi's friend.
Oh, by the way, he helped coach Messi at the youth levels in Barcelona. Messi has gone on record publicly and said that Guillermo Hoyos is
his padrino,
his football padrino, his football
godfather.
So Guillermo Hoyos, in less than 2 years, in about a year and a half and some change, has gone from being the director of methodology in the academy side to the #1 spot on the sporting side overall, in charge of the first team, in charge of transactions. Andrea, if last week we were talking about Messi's influence and his impact and him calling the shots, this made it crystal clear, because there's no way, you could say maybe it was pre-planned with Sanllehi. Sure, fine. Let's say that was the case. There's no way you can convince me that
in an American organization here in the United States of America, where those, especially in MLS and in all other leagues here in the United States of America, those posts are not interchangeable, that like they are Legos. You don't change your sporting director every 2 months or a month after he talks with the owner of the team, and then you change him. That does not happen in American sports. It does not happen in MLS. This is another example of what everyone is now seeing, that Lionel Messi controls Inter Miami. And I get that his fans get mad, but it is the truth. Like, lo que se ve no se pregunta. Why would you bring someone, first of all, that doesn't have experience in American sports, in American culture? Because to be a sporting director in MLS and be successful, you have to know the landscape of sports in this country. And that's why MLS hires guys from MLB, from NBA, and from NFL to do these jobs, because you need that, because you're here. It doesn't matter that it's Messi. So you bring a guy with zero experience as a sporting director here in the United States, a guy that was managing something, not even the whole academy, he just was managing an aspect of your academy, to now manage every move you make. That is
what I'm saying. If they casted a wide net to interview the top candidates for that position, Sanllehi's not the guy. There's no way you ended up with Guillermo Hoyos. There's no way. And how you end up with Guillermo Hoyos? How? Because of Messi.
Because of Messi. And even when Jorge Mas hired Sanllehi, and he went to that press conference when Chris Henderson officially left and he was presented officially as the sporting director, we asked him, I remember Jose asking him, what are you going to do to get in accordance to MLS? Because for a GM that is coming here from another place, that doesn't know the league, that doesn't know the rules, is very difficult. And now you get a man that, yes, he has been a coach in Barcelona's youth system and a coach in a team in Bolivia or Paraguay, or I don't even remember which. Bolivia.
Coach Jacksonville Armada in 2015.
Bolivia, exactly, yes. Now you're gonna get this guy managing a team that's supposedly trying to be elite. You are not gonna get anywhere with putting people just because of let's say it plain and simple, nepotism. This is nepotism. If I go to some place and I bring Franco, I bring Jose, I bring Michelle Kaufman, everyone, is nepotism.
Cronyism. Nepotism is for family, and he's not. Same that I get. I'm being.
Exactly. So it is what it is, and we need to call it out, because he doesn't have the credentials. Listen, if tomorrow Stephen Ross fires Chris Greer, who everyone hates, he's not gonna bring his friend from golf. He's going to bring someone who is a sporting director, who has the knowledge and stability. If Pat Riley leaves the Miami Heat, you're not gonna bring Cristiano Ronaldo to be the Miami Heat sporting director, because he doesn't know anything about basketball.
John S. in the comment section, this is something I want to touch on, says, Henderson assistant is still here, and Xavier Asensi is still here. I'm not worried. Okay, so I will say this. Xavier Asensi is here. He's on the business side, not the sporting side, so he doesn't really play a part in this discussion. Yes, Megan Cameron is still here, who was appointed under Chris Henderson, who helps oversee that the rules and regulations are followed. She got hired, and her position kind of came about after, not kind of, came about after the Matuidi Gate scandal, which might be here in the comments section says another Matuidi Gate incoming.
Exactly.
So yeah, she is still here from what we know, and she is probably still very involved in helping make sure that they cross their T's and dot their I's. However, I am with you. There's concern, and I have heard this from sources. There is concern from people near the club as to whether they may end up breaking rules again, because they don't know, one, and two, maybe they don't care. And this is the problem. I've said this. I've been on 2 different podcasts since Sunday, 2 different Inter Miami focused podcasts. I'm sure if you're into the Inter Miami podcast world, Futbol Miami TV and Battered Herons. But if not, I was on there on Sunday and Monday, respectively. All the same, and I've talked about it a good bit this week, and it's kind of died down. The talking points kind of died down since they got to Peru, and there's been the friendly, and there's been that talk. It's kind of died down, the talking point, but it's still very, very valid that Messi's calling the shots, and that might not be best for Inter Miami in the long term. And it's arguable if it's great in the short term, but it's definitely not good for Inter Miami in the long term, because if Guillermo Hoyos is connected to Messi, and Messi, let's say he plays another season this year, and let's say he plays next year. I mean, is Messi really thinking about beyond 2026? Is he thinking about setting up Inter Miami for the transfer window in the winter of 2026, going to 2027? Like, are those at all being thoughts that Guillermo Hoyos thinks about? And this is where the influence of Messi, while it's there's no denying it's net positive in terms of marketing, in terms of on the field, but overall is his influence being positive in terms of the culture and the impact on this organization as a whole? Because clearly he's taken over. Clearly it's Messi's show. He is the ringleader. The inmates are running the asylum, as the term goes, and that normally does not end up well.
They never end well. That club needs to be first. I know it's messy. I know it's everything, but that club needs to go first. Thomas says LeBron and Tom Brady was the GM of their teams, and there's nothing new. Yeah, but you got LeBron and Tom Brady did what they wanted, but there was always someone there who knew the league, who knew the rules. In some cases, no, because the Patriots, some people called them cheaters, but they won. They knew the rules, and Inter Miami doesn't have that. They got rid of that. They got rid of Chris Henderson, one of the best GMs in the last 10 years in this league. And to bring what? To bring someone who is just Messi's friend and doesn't know anything about
his godfather,
MLS.
Not his friend, his godfather.
That is, for me, it's just not a good business move. And I guess Jorge Mas, it should be concerned, because as you are saying, and as I've been saying, then when Messi leaves, where is Inter Miami coming? I mean, because these people are signing long contracts. Mascherano signed a long-term contract with the club, and these people that are coming in are signing long-term contracts with salaries and everything, and you don't know how Inter Miami is going to be when Messi leaves, when he does, or if he's going to stay all his life and retire here. We don't know that, but after Messi doesn't have a lot of playing years, so after Messi retires, Inter Miami needs to think about their future, about what will they do.
Right, because you don't plan just short term. You plan short term, medium term, and long term.
Especially as a new team, because Inter Miami is not that old, and it could be risky for them in the future with a new stadium, with all the money that they have invested, and they are still investing. It could be tricky. And one thing that I wanted to add, it is for me interesting that then after we get this news about Sanllehi being moved to the front office and Hoyos taking his place, that after we get the news that Federico Higuaín is leaving for Columbus Crew too. That is another example we still don't have a replacement for Federico Higuain, but I can bet that it's going to be another friend, another Argentine, another coach that they know. Because why would you living in Miami, as Federico has been doing since he retired and came coaching here and with Gonzalo? Why would you leave for Columbus Crew too if you had a good year last year? And listen, the talking is there from sources I've heard that people inside the club are not happy, and that's what you get. And then all this stuff that is extra field, extra cancha, as we say in Spanish, then it affects the product on the field, and unfortunately, it will if this keeps happening, because people get offended, get bothered, get insulted, and then they leave.
No. I think. I mean, well, yes, to that point. And I said the Swifties earlier because the Messi fan base, that's just strictly Messi fan base, not Inter Miami fan bases. They don't give a shit about what happens to Inter Miami post Messi, right? They don't care. Right? They'll go and take their attention elsewhere. But if you're an Inter Miami fan first, of course you can appreciate Messi. No one's saying you can't. But if you're an Inter Miami fan first, and you're club over any player first, and you're a reporter or a media member like us that covers Inter Miami, that has to analyze the situation, I mean, it definitely raises some eyebrows and some concerns about the longer term plan for Inter Miami. I'm sure, right? I'm sure Jorge Mas, who's an intelligent guy, I'm sure he thinks he's got a good plan in place to avoid issues. But if that's the case, then let's hear it, because I mean, from the outside, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good that Messi just is.
And the ramblings inside, you have sources, people talk to us, and the ramblings from inside the teams are not as good as they have been in the past. Because listen, there's always been controversy with Inter Miami, and the problem is that Jorge Mas needed to find people that are not gonna do what Paul McDonough did with Matuidi and Andres Reyes, and then the sanctions that they got. And Jorge Mas needed to find people, and he found a person to correct that. That was Chris Henderson. And Chris Henderson, for me, did an acceptable job, and you can say awesome job to take Inter Miami out of those sanctions. So now when you get people people that are not or do not care about the rules and are not as versed.
Se creen los vivos. Paul McDonough se crió vivo and he got caught.
Exactly. That could happen. And listen, Inter Miami still, we were talking about Lujan, and we were talking about the Peluca, who has not been officially introduced, but Lujan was, and the team was still trying to get the international roster spots because they don't have them, and
they've got time. They do have time.
They have time, exactly. But teams already know. Listen, you paid Phil Neville's team $250,000 for an international roster spot. I don't know how in English, but $250,000.
Oh, 200,000. Was it 250 or 200?
250, I think. I don't remember, but 200. But you pay that for an international roster spot, so it's not as easy. They are going with teams. They are going, and teams know that they need this because they know that these are international players that Inter Miami wants to sign and wants them to come to Inter Miami, so they are gonna charge them. So
they also did that with Nashville.
For what exactly? For what did you get Campana's general allocation money to spend it all on roster spots, international roster spots?
Maybe. Hopefully, for Inter Miami's sake, it's not as bad as the fears are. Because if they are, then it's not going to be a good future post Messi. I will say this: spoke to a couple sources. The initial returns from people in and around the team are not very positive of Hoyos. You know, people that maybe you could say maybe they have some bad blood, or maybe you could say they're being honest and being real about it. You know, it depends on just how you view things. But you know, I had one source point to his time at the Jacksonville Armada in the lower divisions here in the U.S. He was head coach there, hired midway or at some point during the season because the first head coach got fired, and the team did not do very well under Hoyos's watch, and then he got let go and somebody else replaced him in that same season. And I heard that the organization as a whole was not left in a good place. Now, again, there were issues before he was appointed, but apparently there were still issues after his departure. That is the concern here. Are they going to leave this organization in as good a shape as they found it? That will be determined with time. Hopefully, for Inter Miami's case, it is. But the fear on the outside is that it might not be, because all they care about is the short term while Messi is here. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we get answers. Because if you're going to make this change, right, on the sporting side, then this has to be publicly addressed, publicly announced. What do we? This is, you're just going to operate in the shadows and not let us know you just changed your sporting director at some point.
Well, they did with Chris Henderson. You didn't believe when I told you Chris Henderson is gone. He's already in Atlanta, and I told you when they lost that Chris Henderson must be celebrating in Atlanta's locker room, because it was
spending money in Atlanta, baby. They're spending money in Atlanta. Holy crap! They got Miguel Almiron.
Exactly. That's what I was going to make that point, because then you get Henderson. You let Henderson go and look at what he's building in Atlanta United, making moves, making maybe MLS's most expensive transfer on record for a player that has a lot of promise. And if they bring him to MLS, it will be a golpe en la mesa, as we say. And Inter Miami is still bringing these guys that are young, that have no experience, and that are not proven players. So for me, that's a big mistake, and really it's unacceptable, because Jorge Mas should be a little bit more strict. And I understand before Messi, you can't do it. And listen, people, for example, let's talk about Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. People when Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid, because Real Madrid didn't want to cater to his needs, and he left, and his career was never the same when he left Real Madrid, right? He won stuff, yes, but he was not the same, because you put club first than anything, first than every star that you can get. But it is what it is.
My friend and colleague and fellow Peruvian Alonso Inca says Mascherano 0 wins.
Yeah, obviously. 0 wins. Jose was tweeting that. Jose was tweeting that, and Jose was tweeting that he hasn't.
Relax. It's preseason. It's been 2 games. Relax. Yeah, he hasn't lost either, technically speaking.
Yeah.
So
we're waiting for his first win.
And I guess his first loss. Jay here says Jorge Mas only wants money.
Yeah, but now he's only Messi's the one receiving money, not Inter Miami.
Well, Inter Miami gets a slice of the pie for sure. Look, I will round out the thought by saying, it's in most sports, in most leagues, you can have big time players, very, very big players, but the organization is still bigger than the player. But that is not the case here. Messi, because he is arguably the greatest player of all time, riding his high post-World Cup victory, playing on a team that has been in existence since 2020. Messi's brand is much bigger than Inter Miami. His brand is also bigger than Major League Soccer. So Messi is going to have more power, more influence here than he would maybe like he did at PSG. He didn't have the same type of say in decisions. Here it is clear that is not the case, that he is pulling rank, that he is doing whatever he wants, and it is being approved by Jorge Mas and co. To give him that freedom, to keep him happy, to try to bring him back in 2026, because again, the idea is to bring him back. So, yeah, they're just letting him have at it. Here you go. Carte blanche. You want what you want? We'll give you what you want. You want your friend as el cocinero? Boom, your friend is el cocinero. He's the cook. You want your friend to be the kit man? Boom, we got you. Your friend is the kit man. You want your brother-in-law to coach one of the youth academy teams? And this is actually true. His brother-in-law will coach as an assistant on one of the youth teams in the academy. You want your dog to be the new mascot for Inter Miami? Okay, boom, we got a new dog we're not the Herons anymore. We're the pink puppies. Whatever the case is, they're bending the knee for Messi. They're doing whatever he wants. We'll see if in the long term.
And especially here, Franco, that in the United States almost never works. You see Patrick Mahomes now that they're building a dynasty in the NFL. It doesn't work that way for Patrick Mahomes. He's not the GM. He's not the one that has the last say in the NFL. And we see it with the Miami Heat right now. But Riley has the last say, and he is going to be respected. It doesn't matter if it's LeBron James, because it happened with LeBron, with Dwayne Wade, with Jimmy Butler. The organization always comes first, because
Messi's brand is bigger than those, though. Bigger than those. But I mean, I still agree with your point. But Messi's brand is bigger, so not the
but
same
this is not
dynamic.
Messi's brand. This is Inter Miami.
Right, but
So
Messi
where
plays
does
for
Inter Miami? Where does Inter Miami stay? If Messi says, "I will not renew my contract for next year. I will go to Barcelona and retire, play 6 months, and play the World Cup and retire." What does Inter Miami do? What does Inter Miami do? How does Inter Miami
Andrea, but that's the point.
sells
But Messi
tickets
does
to
whatever
a
he
new
wants.
stadium?
We know Messi does whatever he wants. He doesn't speak to
Yeah.
media. He doesn't have to, because he's not. They don't.
But
force him to.
what I'm saying, that's all a mistake, because you're not building foundations for when he leaves. You're not being proactive, because he's going to leave. Unfortunately, Messi's career is almost over, and he's more closer to leaving than to staying. So you have to be intelligent, and unfortunately, we haven't seen that for Inter Miami, and it can come at great cost in the future, right? In the future.
See.
Right now, everyone is enjoying Messi, and that's what is. But as you said, we have to talk about this stuff, because we are not in Inter Miami just because of Messi. We were here before he came, and we were gonna be here after he leaves. It's just, that's life, right?
So we will see how it works out, how it plays out. I already see the Messies, right? I said Swifties because of Taylor Swift and her rabid fan base. It defends her for anything she does. She can do no wrong. Messi is very similar in that vein. But I do think some Inter Miami fans, not all, but I do think some actual Inter Miami fans, not Messi fans, Inter Miami fans, I think they're starting to catch on, and they're starting to be like, also starting to raise some questions as to, is this best for us long term? We'll see. All right, we'll leave it there. We did have another player to talk about, which was Federico Redondo, but we'll leave it. We have plenty of time to talk about him. We'll leave it for the next pod, which there's a game on Sunday, and then they play in Honduras. I don't know. I would like to be back on before the game in Honduras, before they play your beloved Motagua.
No, please, they play Olympia.
Oh, sorry.
Motagua, they're gonna play in the final of the CONCACAF Champions League. I called it here this day, 30th of January 2025. Motagua against Inter Miami in the final.
Yeah, no chance. And I was trying to poke fun there. But all the same, I don't know if we'll be back before that game in Honduras or after, but we'll be back at some point next week for sure. Absolutely, we'll have a podcast to recap. I mean, at that point, Inter Miami will be almost done with preseason. They'll have one game left.
No, they play Sunday and then play Saturday. So I think we have time in the middle of the week maybe to talk about before they go to Honduras, and with the result in Panama, right? They play in Panama this Sunday against San Miguelito.
San Miguelito, Sporting San Miguelito. We will also talk to Javier Mascherano and Tadeo Allende tomorrow. So the interviews will be up on the YouTube channel of Miami Total Football Radio. KTD, first-time commenter, if I'm not mistaken, in the comment section says, Inter Miami is cooked. Messi might be the biggest star on the planet, but they need to chill with catering everything just for him or around him. They need to think about the club as well, because Messi probably won't even care once he leaves. And that is the point, right? But clearly short-term, it's cha-ching, cha-ching. There's the dollar bills in the eyelids, because that is what – I mean, on the sporting side, yes, you want him to help you win a championship, but clearly he brings in a crap load of revenue. And that's also a factor in the equation. But anyway, we will leave it there. Thank you guys for joining us in the comment section. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're listening to us after the fact as well, thank you for listening to us as always. We will be back next week in between the trip to Panama and the trip to Honduras. Andrea, Ajicitas, Honduras. Jose Armando, Island Jose, Cincos, Honduras. So, yeah, I'm going to have fun with that game, because Inter Miami didn't beat the Peruvian team. They tied. So if they beat the Honduran side, then I don't know. I might have some smack talk for you guys. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Give us a like, a share, a subscribe, a follow, all of the above. It helps us out tremendously, and it's free if you haven't already. So we will leave it there for this week's show. So for Andrea Llanes, I am Franco Panizo. You have been listening to Miami Total Football Radio. We will talk to you guys again next week.